So I went Arturo Fuente, and I had their Anejo.
It's so hard to go wrong.
Yeah, it's super hard to go wrong with the Fuente in the first place because they're great cigars. The Anejo is the age. The size I had was the 888, which is basically their Lancero, and I hadn't had that size from Fuente before.
Yeah, because you normally go with the larger ring gauge, right? I usually
go with the larger ring gauge and something a little bigger, which I probably would enjoy. But this was truly enjoyable. From the top, the cigar is dark brown, semi-firm overall, nice and smooth. It's a really pretty cigar. It's got this great cedar sleeve that it's stored in. So obviously, the initial the pre-light sniff on this has a lot of cedar, a lot of woody elements, a lot of earthy elements, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of like dark mocha kind of flavors going on. I used a clip on it because I had a torpedo end. The pre-light draw on this was perfect right off the bat, and had a lot of the dark chocolate and mocha kind of flavors going on, with a little bit of woody and earthy notes again going on right off the bat. The initial light on this was a bit of leather and pepper, which is interesting because I didn't get any leather on the nose on this whatsoever. And then cedar just kind of blossomed all the way through this.
Nice.
The initial light kind of morphed into a really cedary, with a dry finish, with some chocolate notes all the way through, and a large bunch of coffee flavors going on.
So does the fact that it's wrapped in a cedar tube, does that actually enhance the cedar, or is that?
Yeah, no, it definitely picks up cedar because it's it's sitting there in cedar for the life of the cigar.
Being humidified.
Up to the point I take it off, right?
Right.
And so that definitely adds cedar flavor to the wrapper because it's full contact of the wrapper, and I believe that's part of what they're adding to the flavor of the cigar. When they do that. And I've seen the same cigar, in the same line in different sizes that don't have cedar, and some do. So it might be that, like, for this particular size, we want to add this touch of flavor to it. And I don't know if that's a chef's choice or what it is, but it certainly was awesome on this cigar. The first third of this cigar morphed into coffee and chocolate and earth and cedar, and that cedar finish was so nice because, like I said, the cedar wasn't as present in the initial puff of the cigar, but then after the aftertaste of the puff was very cedar finish, which was really nice. The burn on this thing was absolutely perfect. Razor line burn all the way down. The ash was a little bit flaky, so I was careful tipping it because I always spill ash on myself, when I try to get the really long ash. The second third of this cigar was more of the same, with a little bit of fruity note in the background that kind of crept up just as an interesting tanginess going on. Not a lot else changed with it. Again, razor line burn on this. Perfect draw all the way through, perfect ash, everything going on. The last third of this cigar, it started to load up a little bit with some of the darker flavors like the pepper and the earth, and a little bit of the leather came back, which I hadn't detected except for the initial light. A little bit of the leather came back with some strong earthiness, and the coffee and chocolate moved a little further back. So it was interesting because the last third of this cigar was vastly different from the first 2/3 of it, but a little bit closer to the initial light of the cigar. The cedar notes, the cedar finish lasted the entire cigar. It was absolutely fantastic. I didn't have anything influencing my palate on this. I was drinking water with it, so unless I didn't have any flavor in the water or anything,
Yeah, right.
This cigar costs $10. I smoked it down until it was just about burning my fingers. Like in that last picture, I'm sure you saw that. Like it's a little bit bigger than my thumb at that point. This cigar costs $10. I'm giving it a 7. It punches so far above. Like, you expect a Fuente to be good, right? I also expected it to be more expensive than that. And
than $10, yeah.
If you'd have given me that cigar without the price tag, I would have guessed it at $15.
Nice.
Easily.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I probably wouldn't have been
unhappy about that.
That's fine. It's worth that. But it was $10. I mean, that's fantastic for a cigar of that quality. So
love it.
You get a solid 7 on that cigar if you're out and about. Don't be if you're into more mild cigars, don't be afraid to try this one. It's definitely medium, but it's not a spicy, like burn your tongue kind of pepper. It's a real mild pepper. It's pepper flavor without being too spicy. And it has all these other flavors in there that you don't always get in a much more mild cigar. So I would say definitely try one of these, maybe in the smaller sizes, and see how that fares.